Teenage Homelessness Stories. Shame, Fear, and Uncertainty Part 1. One of the most heartbreaking and yet least talked about issues today is homelessness in youth. New Chapter Inc. states that 2 million kids will experience a period of homelessness each year. These stories are undeniably powerful, as it becomes clear how little control these children have over their daily lives or futures when they become homeless for whatever reason. Whether economic insecurity from parents who lose jobs to pay rent, neglectful parenting by an addict parent, fleeing domestic violence at home with nowhere else to go but shelters which don't provide safety without disrupting schooling and/or work obligations. The reasons vary, but one thing remains unchanged. Those struggling with this level poverty can no longer afford food to eat or shelter under roofs where they sleep safe from harm on cold nights any more than. I woke up with my mom and dad yelling and fighting once again. We were living in a motel room that always reeked of cigarette smoke. I couldn't stand the smell. They had been arguing for hours before they finally cracked at breakfast time today when the bitter manager knocked on our door to remind us we hadn't paid for another week's stay yet. He was there as soon as she turned her back. My mother glanced over me standing by the window staring out into nothingness while trying not to cry so much anymore, but it wasn't working very well these days after all this happened. Being kicked from one home or family member to another without any notice where you are going next until tomorrow morning comes around. Slowly, she opened the door and stood quietly, waiting for the manager to speak. After a long second of staring angrily at the floor, he finally looked up and said, "Christine." He paused before continuing with his demand that we leave by noon or else. Before my mom had a chance to respond, he was headed back to check-in desk where I knew it would be another busy day, which is why I started preparing myself for an uneventful morning on cleanup duty in order to prepare them all for nap time as well. My mom was yelling on the phone, but I couldn't hear what she said. As soon as she slammed down the receiver and stared at me with an angry look in her eye, my heart started pounding fast enough to burst out of its rib cage. "No," she stated firmly and grabbed my arm tightly so that I wouldn't get away from her grip again anytime soon. "Hurry up then." I walked in the room and found my sisters still laying down. I grabbed them both, carrying 1-year-old on one shoulder while holding 2-year-old's hand with other arm full of bags. We got downstairs where mom was screaming because dad took car before she could get it out of driveway. Heading back inside to calm her down, I sat next to girls who were sitting by curb waiting for ride home from grandma's place. We sat there for several hours. My mom finally started talking, ordering us to get up. We walked to an alley near the motel where she ordered me and my 2 little sisters, ages 5 and 7, away while she went into one of the rooms on that side of building. Probably a drug deal gone wrong with someone not coming out alive. I dressed them in jackets from our bag when they got cold as it had gotten dark outside. Soon after we fell asleep by a disgusting dumpster together, curled around each other's legs until morning came again. My mother never returned from her errand all night long, though probably no longer needed or wanted anymore now due to what happened inside those 4 walls. I climbed into the dumpster with my 2 little sisters to escape a man who spit near it. I was scared, but holding them in my arms and waiting for our mother felt like we had some protection from those bad people out there on the street that night. Mom came back with hot dogs and soda before sunrise, which made me feel better about us sleeping outside all night long by ourselves without any adults around when she told us never be scared of anything or anyone again no matter what situation you're faced with one day. My little sisters and I were left in the streets with nowhere to go. We found a dumpster full of food that was about to be thrown away by our local grocery store. For 2 hours, we played around it as if it was an obstacle course while reading books on dinosaurs nearby. When mom came back from her meeting, she grabbed everything from us again before going home for dinner, where dad yelled at all 3 of us children early in the night because he had been drinking too much alcohol earlier that evening after work when his boss told him what time-sensitive project they needed done immediately or else their company would lose money every hour until finished, which is why he drank so heavily just minutes ago, but then started yelling once more leading up to bed the 4th day. My mother returned a little later than usual. She ordered us to get up as if we were in a hurry or something and excitedly said we were going home. We all looked at her, confused. I was so confused but learned never to question what she did next for fear of being slapped across the face again with one of those metal things that hurt like hell when they hit you square on your cheekbone. I think it's called an electric fly swatter. We made our way into these apartments where my dad was standing waiting for us with big smiles plastered onto his smiling relieved-looking face. He picked me up from under each arm while hugging me tightly against him, then asked how had sleeping been over. I was living in foster care and adopted at a young age. But when I told my adoptive mother that she was abusing me, she got angry with me. She put me into a group home right before my birthday of being an adult who was homeless, which made the case worse for myself since it happened to other people as well. However, knowing what homelessness felt like from past experiences helped make sure this didn't happen again by getting enough money until I turned 21 years old so never have to fear becoming homeless ever again. You might be wondering what a memoir has to do with you. Well, this one is pretty different than others because it was written by somebody who never wanted their story told in the first place, but thanks to the Teen Project and Erna Julian's dedication, they have been able to share some of these hard truths about life as an age-out foster youth that you can't find anywhere else. So head on over at www.youth new chapter for more information or follow founder Erna Julian on Twitter at ncgod1. You support this cause because it will help us reach our goal of $2.5 million to purchase a 129-unit facility in South Florida for homeless youth that need the service and care they deserve. It is just one thing if your family member you did not know exited needed a home. We are here with open doors, ready to provide any young person who needs shelter or assistance with their basic human needs, food, clothing and medical attention when necessary. Just think about how many people's lives we'll be able to make better by raising money for housing. No more living on someone else's couch, or even worse, out in public spaces like parks where they're exposed to dangers every day. Help them find sanctuary so they can go back into society. Please donate to this cause by going to www.youthnewchapter.com or www.ncgod, who are working hard on making 1 million views so they can make more people aware of the problem and help in any way we can. Please share with your friends, family members. Even if you don't want a subscription, it will still be very helpful because all views count.